The hum of the engines had lulled most of the passengers into a calm slumber. Among them, in row 13 by the window, sat Maya Thompson, her head resting against the cool glass. She was a quiet woman, unnoticed by most, her dark hair pulled back, her travel clothes plain. To others, she was just another traveler heading home. But as the minutes passed and the flight carried on smoothly, fate prepared a test that would turn her anonymity into something extraordinary. The calm was broken by a trembling voice over the intercom that shook everyone awake. "This is your captain speaking," came the announcement, his tone unusually heavy. A pause followed, and then the words that made every heart skip. "If there is anyone on board with flight experience, is anyone here a pilot?" Gasps echoed through the cabin. People exchanged panicked glances. A child cried out as fear spread like wildfire. Row 13 stirred, and Maya blinked herself awake, her mind struggling to process what she had just heard. The cabin crew rushed about, their faces pale, their composure cracked. Something was wrong, terribly wrong, and the lives of everyone on board suddenly hung in the balance. Maya's heart pounded. She had once been a commercial pilot years ago, before she gave it all up after a devastating family tragedy. Flying was a part of her soul, but she had walked away from the skies, promising herself never to return. Yet here she was, sitting in row 13, with terrified passengers all around her and a plane that clearly needed someone who could help. She hesitated, the weight of her past pressing hard against her chest. But then a scream from the back jolted her, and the reality struck. This wasn't about her pain anymore. This was about survival. She stood up, her voice louder than she expected. "I can fly," she said. The cabin crew's heads snapped toward her, their eyes wide with both hope and doubt. A flight attendant grabbed her arm desperately. "Are you serious? We need you right now." Maya nodded, swallowing her fear. As she made her way down the aisle, passengers whispered prayers, some clasping their hands, others simply staring in disbelief. Could this quiet woman from row 13 really be their lifeline? Every step toward the cockpit felt heavier, but also filled with a growing sense of resolve. Inside the cockpit, chaos reigned. The captain was slumped in his seat, pale and unconscious, and the co-pilot struggled to manage the controls alone. Sweat dripped down his face as alarms blared across the panel. He looked up at Maya with desperate eyes. "You said you can fly?" She nodded firmly, sliding into the captain's seat without hesitation. Her hands trembled at first, but the moment she touched the controls, old instincts returned. It was like reconnecting with an old friend, unforgiving but familiar. She exhaled, focused, and whispered to herself, "I can do this." The co-pilot rattled off the plane's status. Systems were failing, turbulence rocked the aircraft, and they were far from the nearest airport. Maya absorbed it all quickly, her training snapping into place like clockwork. She began issuing calm, precise instructions, her voice steady despite the storm raging outside and the chaos behind her. The co-pilot followed her lead, his eyes wide with relief as he realized this stranger from row 13 truly knew what she was doing. Slowly, control began to return to the aircraft, though danger was far from gone. Back in the cabin, passengers clung to their seats as the turbulence worsened. Mothers held their children close, prayers filled the air, and fear was etched on every face. Yet whispers of hope began to circulate. "There's someone helping." "Someone's flying the plane," a passenger said. "It's the woman from row 13," another added. Strangers clung to that fragile thread of hope, their faith resting in the hands of one woman who had almost walked away from her gift forever. For them, Maya wasn't just a passenger anymore. She was their only chance. The storm outside intensified, lightning streaking across the skies. Maya's focus was unshakable. She guided the plane through pockets of turbulence, her hands firm on the controls. Memories of training days, simulator drills, and real missions surged back. The weight of responsibility bore down on her, but so did the unbreakable will to save lives. She thought of her late brother, the reason she had left flying behind, and whispered in her heart, "This is for you." The skies roared, but Maya roared louder within. Nothing would stop her from bringing these souls safely home. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Every second was a battle between life and death. Finally, a faint signal reached them, an air traffic controller guiding them toward an emergency landing strip. Maya listened intently, her commands precise, her determination unshaken. The runway loomed ahead, lit like a beacon of salvation. The passengers behind braced for impact, some crying, others closing their eyes, but Maya's hands never faltered. With a calmness that surprised even herself, she lowered the plane, the wheels screeching against the tarmac, the massive machine shuddering before slowing to a halt. Silence fell. Then came an eruption of cheers and sobs. The cabin burst into applause. Strangers hugged each other, relief flooding their souls. The co-pilot looked at Maya with awe, his voice cracking. "You saved us." Maya leaned back in her seat, her chest rising with heavy breaths, her eyes glistening with tears she had long buried. For years, she thought she had lost her purpose, that the skies had taken too much from her. But in that moment, she realized she hadn't lost it. It had been waiting for her, waiting for this very day. She had saved hundreds of lives by embracing what she was born to do. When the passengers disembarked, many stopped to thank her, their voices trembling with gratitude. Children waved at her, calling her a hero. Maya smiled softly, shaking her head. "I'm not a hero," she said. "I just did what had to be done." But in their eyes, she was much more than that. She was proof that ordinary people could carry extraordinary gifts, gifts that could change everything when the moment demanded it. News outlets quickly picked up the story. Headlines blared, "Passenger in row 13 lands plane after captain collapse." Maya's face appeared on screens worldwide, her story inspiring countless people. Some focused on the miracle of survival, others on the woman who had stepped forward when it mattered most. But Maya herself kept away from the spotlight. To her, the true victory wasn't fame, it was the lives she saved, the families that would reunite, and the second chance she had been given to honor her past. The airline invited her to return to flying professionally, but Maya declined. She had no desire for the uniform again. What she wanted was simpler, to use her story to inspire others never to bury their gifts out of fear or pain. She began visiting schools, sharing her journey, telling children that sometimes life places us in row 13 for a reason, that even when we think we're done, destiny has other plans, and courage means saying yes when the world needs you most. In the years that followed, the legend of the woman in row 13 grew. People told her story in homes, classrooms, and even training facilities for young pilots. She became a symbol of resilience, a reminder that heroes aren't always in uniforms. They can be sitting quietly among us, waiting for their moment. And every time she looked at the sky, Maya felt her brother's spirit smiling back, proud that she had chosen courage over fear. This story is a reminder that the call to rise can come when we least expect it, and that within us lies a power we often forget until tested. Maya's courage saved hundreds that day, but it also reignited her own purpose. Let her story remind you that when life calls, answer boldly. If this tale moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, inspire others, and keep the spirit of courage alive. Like, share, and subscribe to African Folktales for more powerful stories that awaken the hero within.